I've never stopped being eager to learn things. I have faced a few accidents. People don't always connect the incident with each other. The reason why we are doing investigation. Do we want to just fix this problem or do we want to look outside the box? Let's develop a process because ship A is not the same as ship J. Find balance between the procedures but also operational understanding. Well, you're trying to tickle me now, like this. I'm a bit skeptical about it.
Let's collect a bit haters to our podcast.
I don't think that people get up on a morning with intention to be injured. Sloppy investigation leading to a blame culture, leaking information about investigation. Wow.
Hello, everyone. Today's guest is someone with nearly 3 decades of experience in the maritime industry, from serving at sea on a gas and chemical tankers to leading roles ashore in safety, quality, and incident investigation. He has worked his way up from a deck officer and master to becoming a specialist focused on a safety culture, human behavior, and also risk-based thinking and operational excellence. What makes his respective especially valuable in the combination of real hands-on maritime experience with a deep understanding on how people make decisions under pressure, how incidents are investigated, and how organizations can create safer and stronger working environments, both on board and also ashore. Today, we are going to talk about leadership, safety culture, human factors, investigations, and the evolving challenges of the modern maritime industry. Pierre, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me on this podcast and looking forward to your questions. I know that you want to get to the roots of the questions, so I will try to do my best to answer your questions today. And just shoot.
Thank you so much. Yeah, actually, we want to get as much as possible the real picture because the purpose of our podcast to show to our subscribers like which actions actually leading to outcomes, which action can lead to KPIs, how to reach these KPIs faster, how to do the job better. So we have a different people who is watching our podcast, the people who just starting out, and the people who already working some time in the maritime industry. But as an outcome, I want to collect as much as possible valuable actions that really helping in maritime industry so people can share the experience. And I'm using this Action Matter podcast as a hub for real knowledge which is working. Feel free to answer whatever you're thinking, your opinion. It's everything is acceptable. And then we're going to see how the people also reacting to your answers. So if you have some comments, our subscribers, if you have some comments, if you have your opinion, also leave these messages in our comment box. I will reply myself, and also we can ask Pierre to give the answers. So as I mentioned already that you have 3 decades of experience. You worked as an officer, master, superintendent, and investigator. What do you see as a fundamentally broken and how incidents are investigated today?
The 3 decades of experience it didn't just appear like this. We learned a lot over those 3 decades. I started as a pumpman because of my technical background. The chief officer back then taught me, I will be his legs and his arm for the next couple of months. I was surprised until a week later. I told him, well, I realized what you are telling me. Also, I've never stopped being eager to learn things, thinking about outside the box. I mean, back in the days, we have to think that ISM was not yet implemented. SIAS CDI came a couple of years later, and we had 3 places where you could get the information on board the ship. Number 1 was the master. Number 2 was the black or the red book of the chief officer with all the tricks and tips for tank cleaning, gas freeing, whatever. And then the third one was chief engineer. Obviously, deck and engine, there was always those kind of frictions. So if as a deck officer you were going to the chief engineer, you were not being seen well by the master and the chief officer, or by both. So yeah, you need to learn things and look, being curious and continuously curious. Now, when it goes to investigation, obviously those 30 years I have faced a few accidents, serious near misses, and when you have it once, you just tend to forget about it, right? But when you see uh, that it starts to repeat, you ask yourself, why does it repeat? And then you are master. Of course, you have learned from all your experience before, so you recognize the signs that something is going wrong. So it's either you stop or you let it happen. Obviously, a serious master will say, "Now we stop." My gut feelings, my sixth sense are getting involved, so we stop it. Then comes a day where you are superintendent. And you are no longer the master. You are not longer a crew member. And then the way you operated the ship when you were a master or a chief engineer or a chief mate are gone. They are long gone. You have to deal with 3 or 4 ships, depending how big is the fleet. And then you have to understand that for each ship there are 2 SMTs which are running back to back. So it's not one individual anymore. You have more people who are coming from the same point that you came, more or less, and then they have to reach the same goal. So my intention is not to dictate to the people how to go from A to B, but much more to control the bandwidth, because some people are they love complex lives, so they go like this, while the other one goes to the straight line, and it's to find the balance. And the same things happens on the investigation. So first of all, you need to find a methodology. What methodology on investigation is the easiest for you, is the clearest in your mind, which one gives you the more value. What do I get by doing this methodology or this methodology? Because as you know yourself, there's so many ways in the market to present investigations. So what do we want to know? Well, at the end of the day, most of the people are doing investigation to find a root cause. Obviously, the contributing factors, which we have touched base on a regular basis in our talk, because the root cause is one element, but the contributing factors are usually the one which are repeating themselves throughout the different incidents. People don't always connect the incident with each other, though they should look at the similarities. This is my opinion. And then you also need to look at the fact that, look, an incident happens. We also need to figure out not only why it happens, but how it happens and what is the change which has occurred leading to this accident. And I don't know if I can mention it, but we have this Kelvin topside methodology, which initially I was quite skeptical about it, but going through the trainer calls and everything, I realized that, hey, this is one of the few investigation which is getting the 360 degrees or helicopter view investigation. And you can look at all the aspects. Whether you touch base them or you go in depth for each item, this is up to the investigator. Now, secrets, ingredients for investigation, methodology, but an investigator. Ask the questions. 5 whys? Not enough. Ask the whys, but ask the how, ask the who, ask the what, and ask the when. It's not about blame culture, it's about just culture. So we are all human. We make mistakes, errors. I have a good friend who could explain you the whole difference between that. I'm just using a very simple wording for You make an error, you make a mistake. Some things are due willingness, laziness, and something are just, yeah, you just didn't pay attention. And when you combine all those things, then I believe you have a good list of ingredients to bake your investigation and get to figure out, okay, what was the root cause? What was the contributing factor? Are they repetitive or not? What can we do about it? Systemic corrections. Do we want to just fix this problem, or do we want to look outside the box? If you want to look outside the box and not only fix the problem, then I believe you will be able to prevent the reoccurrence of this event, which is the reason why we are doing investigation. We don't want it to happen again.
But why actually do the same types of incidents keep repeating despite procedures, audits, reporting systems, methodologies, investigators? So if we have everything in place nowadays.
This being said, be mindful about the word procedures. Procedures, I take them like the code of law or the guide for the road, when you do your driving license. Those are rules which are telling you the do's and don'ts. But it doesn't tell you how to read the do's and don'ts.
Hmm.
Nowadays, we see also a shift where the procedures, which were very heavy, I mean, if you look at the IMO, if you look at the tanker safety guide, all those SOLAS, all those maritime legislation, though it's got and tanker safety guides are more operational, but a lot of those maritime law are heavy.
Mm.
They are written for people which are highly educated. Why? There are different reasons for that. One of that is questions of accountability, not to give the wrong message, being clear and transparent. But still, the AB on deck, the second mate, the chief mate, or even the captain, they want to understand how to do it. This is where experience comes in. How do they do that? But also show-based support to say, okay, let's develop a process because ship A is not the same as ship J or ship Z. So yes, we have the procedures which tell you, for example, in MARPOL, you can't pollute the sea, full stop. How are you going to do that? Well, you have different steps and procedures. Steps being the process, procedures being like, okay, this type of equipment is allowed, this type of equipment is forbidden, you need to have this license, you need to have this type approval, while the process is okay, yes, no, and so on and so forth. So you need to have nowadays a fine balance between the procedures, but also operational understanding that you translate into processes.
Okay, understand. And I think that it's going to be a good question for you because I already know you for some time. And I have a special question related to human errors. You know that I meet myself many times in my life as one of the root causes is human error. But what do you think, as per your opinion, whenever the human error is listed as a root cause, what does that explanation usually hide rather than explain?
Yeah. Okay. You're trying to tickle me now, like it. Look, if you look at investigation perspective, from an investigation perspective, there's no right and wrong. It's convenience and non-convenience. So human error is a convenient root cause because it can ask behind a lot of factors. Nowadays, we are very much protected, and we have to be very mindful about the GDPR. It's going about personal data and everything. So if someone has a lapse, doing something because their brain are not where they should be, then obviously you're going to use a human error.
Mhm.
Now, if we can go deep into the human behavior to understand the psychological part of it, then you can refine your human error. So if I see human error, I always have this, my questioning eyes going on my face, saying, okay, what does it tell me? Personally, not much. Do I want to understand more? It depends. What is the gravity? What is the severity of the accident? And does it serve a purpose? It has always been serving a purpose so far. Things are changing. Uh, do we want to know more about it? I'm open to that. I can't say this is a bad or good root cause. I just say it serves a purpose, and let's accept it as it is.
All right, let's do that. What do you think? At what point does an investigation stop leading to management decisions and real changes and become a purely formal report?
Think it all people involved in managing a company's operations or whatsoever wants to understand what happened. They are easy fix, which do not necessarily require the approval or disapproval of management. I think it's a very generic questions which you need to be mindful about. Because the way I understand it could be like management is not involved or management is involved. So I think it's on a case by case of the investigation to which level you would involve management. Now, what I've seen from what I've known, usually management is interested, at least to understand the whys, the how, the who, and the what. And most of them are keen to take action and escalate internally if they see, when they see too many repetitive events coming, which have common similarities between each other. So it all depends on the company, to the management, the industry itself.
Mhm.
Now we are focusing on, we are talking about shipping industry, but there are industry out there which also have issues. Mm, Take the motorway on a regular basis. Look at the trucks. Look at the infrastructures. So, and incidents are occurring on the daily basis on those industries as well. So
Exactly. So, as you also worked on a ship, you also work sometime ashore. Definitely, you know that's what information do crews most often hiding during the investigation, and what's your opinion why it's happening?
I think if you look from both sides of the curtains, we are dealing with different interests. I don't think there is a disconnection as such. I think the crew wants to fix the problem, and they are good at. No discussion about it. They want to keep the ship sailing. They are also good at it. When from the shore side, we want to understand the why and how to prevent reoccurrence. So it needs a fine balance between the crew and the shore team to go through in the investigation and figure out what happened, when it happened, why it happened, and what can we do to prevent it. That's why you need to have this open talk discussion uh, between the crew and the investigation team.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
it's also shore side have to work hard towards of engagement with the vessel crew in order to avoid this type of issues. Pierre, can I ask you please, if LTIs and incidence rates don't reflect investigation effectiveness, What indicators show that investigations are actually reducing operational risk?
Interesting questions, because LTIF is one type of, it's one KPIs, it's one type of statistics. It's still, it tells you the frequency of injuries. Injury is one type of accident. Of course, we need to be mindful, because people are the one which count, and the last thing you want to have during an event is injuries, fatalities, and you need to look at it. Now, I personally tend to uh, segregate those two, because usually, at least this is my experience, if and when during an event you have an injury, the injury is always a consequence of something else.
Mhm.
And what is the consequence of what is this something else? Something else could be that the person put their hands, their fingers, their feet, their legs, whatever, where they shouldn't have done it,
Yeah.
or they didn't pay attention, or there's a combination of following procedures when you have injuries. I'm I'm a little bit skeptical about it. It's not that I don't believe. It's much more that, like, I don't think that people get up on the morning with intention to be injured. Simple as that. So I'm more looking at, okay, let's set up barriers. As you know, the Swiss cheese, all those barriers. If you look at the hierarchy of control, then the focus is to really make sure that the the human exposure is as less as possible with its piece of machinery, equipment, cargoes. And this is where the investigation from an operational point of view will be beneficial. Obviously, there are things you can't stop the human doing. This interface, human machinery, cargoes, or whatsoever. But at least you can prevent accidents. One of them is engineering solution. You remember the drilling machine, the leg machine back in the days. No
Mhm.
protection happened. No case about a protection until a few guys got severely injured, and then all of a sudden you get this shields in front of the
Mhm.
rotating part, and then an emergency will stop. Why not? PP, yeah, but then we move on the fact that what PP do we use when you're using the late machine? There's
Goggles.
such a big world of opinions about wearing gloves or not wearing gloves. Which type of gloves? Why should I wear gloves?
Hmm.
Uh, Same as for glasses. Why should I wear glasses when I have a shield protecting the rotating bit? Well, yeah, until, like me, you go in 1991 on a tanker, and a couple of hours after joining the ship, you're sent down the tank to mop, and an evening your skull is crushing, and you realize that you have had a lot of drops of caustic with water on your skull during the day, and despite the shower, well, the damages are there. So PP is the last barrier, and it won't be anything else than that. One fits all is no longer what it was, because the PP world has evolved so much nowadays that it's a bit of a fashion as well. One type of gloves, not really. We are talking about ergonomic as well. Again, if lead machine, someone says no, you can't use the gloves because it's too dangerous. Right. If you have those surgeon medical alike gloves, but for the engineering side, which are a lot thicker, which are a lot
Mhm.
stronger, then you get this dexterity, this feeling, and yeah, it works well. I use them to work on my car, on my motorcycle, and at least when I go in the office the next day, no one asks me, "Hey, what did you do last night? Can you wash your hands?" Because one of the things which people forget is the initial use of gloves is hygiene.
Mhm.
So you need to look at all those aspects, all those approaches. One fits all does not exist, unfortunately. You need to be quite mindful about what solution you propose. Needs to be a realistic, or smart solution.
What do you think? And what's from your experience, like what changes in management decisions or behavioral tell you that an investigation has genuinely worked or not worked?
Well,
It's also good to know. Yeah.
no, I mean, management is there for a reason in any company. And I'm talking about the whole scope of the whole world of industries and companies. So there is a management there. I think management is in general, management are one of the stakeholders which make things being a success or a challenging uh, potential changes. Why? Is because they are coming from another angle, they have different backgrounds, different perspectives. And what is important is to have a management which aligns with the demands of the workflow. Not everyone can be pleased, but we have always a potential to find compromises. So when we look at investigation, if and when uh, you are setting up adequate uh, preventative action, preventative measures, then I think, yeah, the event should not occur anywhere.
Mm.
I think from a technical perspective of the investigation. Now, we are still handling, working with human behavior.
Mhm.
It's a little bit like you get on your car in the morning and you decide not to put your safety belt. Yeah, it's only 200, 300, 500 meters to the bakery. Saturday morning, what is the risk compared to a Monday morning or Tuesday morning? Well, the risk, the probability that you're going to get hit from someone are lower on a Saturday than on Monday, on peak hours, but they are still there. In reality,
Yeah.
consequences, they will be the same, depending if the other car comes at 30 kilometers or 60 kilometers per hour. So I think when we look at investigation, it's not about management or what we need to look at when we look at investigation is that when we prepare our preventative measures, action, whatever you want to call them, they are sustainable, they are long lasting, and on a regular basis, they are reviewed to measure or to assess the uh, effectiveness. Because
Mhm.
one thing is for sure in any industry, you're going to fix a problem, you're good. So if you go to a PDCA cycle, you should, by definition, and it's also one of the TMSA requirements, you should on a timely basis look after, hey, are those actions still sustainable?
Yeah.
They remain, do they remain actionable? Because maybe in the meantime, let's put it like that, one of the control in the past was paper, the checklist. Maybe nowadays, this checklist can be replaced by an engineering solution, a tag that you present your tag in front of a reader, for example. So this is a lot of things to be done and to be actioned, especially nowadays because we have AI, we have the technology moving, we have the internet facilities on board of ships and all around. I mean, you take the train nowadays, you don't have
Mhm.
internet.
Yeah.
Plane, you have internet. So that's what I would more look at.
Mhm.
But focusing on management alone, I don't think this is not really what I'm I would look at. This is a group of stakeholders and
Mhm.
management. One of them.
All right. Thank you so much. If someone have a different opinion, definitely will leave the comment. But yeah, but thank you so much for your answer. And I also thinking that it's very important to come back and to see if your action still valuable for this type of incident. It's a bit difficult because everything is related to humans. You have to remember, you have to track it, you have to go back, um, open the case, and it's a challenge. But
Yep.
if you're doing that on a regular basis, definitely you're not going to have a similar incidents in the future. Let's collect a bit haters to our podcast because I have one interesting question to you. What do you think? Which investigation practice do you consider most harmful despite being widely accepted?
They're different ones. I mean, sloppy investigation, you know, root cause, which are no root causes. And I would say, I don't like to use the word, but I have to use it, but the blame culture. I think sloppy investigation leading to a blame culture or a blaming of some individual. I
Yeah.
think this is something which needs to be addressed. Whoever don't do that. I don't do that. We don't do that. So we there is a lot of deontology and kind of codex within the investigation and the investigator. Another thing is making an investigation open to the public, like on the market on the block in Rotterdam on Wednesday and Saturday, where obviously the job of the investigator and the investigation team is to keep
Mhm.
until the investigations are done. So now I'm talking in general. I'm thinking in general. It's not specific, but those are things which I've seen uh, leaking information about investigation and people having opinions about findings. Uh, Root cause being some kind of dressed up contributing factor because it was convenient to do so.
Understand. Can we try to think widely? And can you imagine if tomorrow somebody will ask you to change only 2, 3 things in how the maritime industry investigates incidents? What would they be?
2 or 3 things. Wow. Oh. What helps definitely investigation is technologies.
Mhm.
Technologies being fast. Uh, I mean, if I look at if you look at a basic, imagine 1912, the Titanic would have been fitted with a video. We would know exactly what happened.
Yeah,
We would have first-hand information about what happened on that specific night, on that specific date. Of course, I doubt the iceberg would have had AIS, but at least we could have thoroughly reconstructed the full event with the communication on the bridge between the lookout on the forward and the bridge, and so on and so forth. Engine orders, orders, radar pictures. So I think one of the things is not change as such, but really promote technologies,
technologies.
uh, especially cameras, PDR more. And of course, always go to this GDPR and other people are saying everything, but hey, if you are on a cockpit on a plane, the pilots have no choice.
Yeah,
And everything they say is recorded.
it's not only in a plane; it's also in a train.
But I'm not very familiar about the train, but I can imagine that those also have have a black box or similar to the VDR or the black box in the plane, and everything is recorded. So that would be for me. It's not really a change. It's much more a push. Keep technologies being part of the equipment, not only for after-match event, but also of uh, uh, being used as a training, as a learning before something happens. You can link
Hmm.
them to nemesis and everything, and get the things analyzed by the show. But then again, big data. Who's gonna do that? Who's gonna do that? When are we going to do that? And what do we want to see out of that? But at least the data would be somewhere, and maybe one day it will be reviewed by a super duper powerful computer. I don't know. For the rest, it's much more basic ground education in the schools. I'm pre-STCW 95 veteran. Uh, when I see the content of STCW 95 nowadays compared to what we had back then, I think but I heard they are looking at upgrading, bringing some change. So I think this is good. This is a good change. 30 years later, bring some change. Um, and the last thing, because you asked me 2 to 3, um, I think is getting the motivations of the people that they are doing a non-routine job. That the working at sea is nothing like routine as such. If they are lucky every day, they will have a nice sunrise and a nice sunset, which people are paying a fortune to pay to go to see from time to time. So there you are paid to look at it. Keep motivated and just enjoy what you're doing. But again, it's not really something directly. But if you if you have this kind of mindset when you sail on the ship, this doesn't matter if you are 22 years old, or 42, 52, 62 years old, as long as you keep this kind of mindset of being curious, enjoying simple things.
Okay, all right, it's super. What's your opinion if all investigation templates, procedure, and etc. disappear tomorrow? What would still allow organizations to learn and reduce the risks?
But if you recall what I told you, I started pre-ISM.
Mhm.
The ISM was good, or is good in bringing checklists and templates and everything. I think uh, any investigation can be made out of template, or out of any template. The template is definitely helpful to collect on a structured way, all the evidences, because you're gonna need a lot of uh, evidences for your investigation. Sometimes a bit less, but usually it's a large amount, because you don't focus only on the equipment or the person. You want to join the dots, as I said. You want to cross-check information, so you're gonna need a lot of data. So for a beginner or a newly involved person in investigation, yes, the template is quite helpful. I don't say it's a must-have, but it's really something which can guide them to the process and the steps. And after a while, usually they don't need them because they do it so often, or they are so much aware of what is going on that, well, the template is just a reminder of what comes bad, as they call it in French.
Mhm.
Something reminds them what to do and how to do, and that's it.
Yeah,
So template, yes. Do I miss them if they are gone?
no. If you know what to do, it's most
Exactly.
important. Yeah. I have the last questions. The last question, which will close our podcast, and most important. why does action matters?
Okay, actions. Again, keeping the helicopter view, looking at the big pictures, you have different of actions when something happens. You have the actions pre-event, you have the action during event, you have the actions post-event, and you have the actions future to the post-event. So, what actions are we talking about? Are we talking about preventing reoccurrence? Do we look at actions to remain into compliance? So there is an awful lot of action which definitely will help to prevent reoccurrence, prevent people to get hurt, to get injured. An action which also inform the different stakeholder that something has occurred, and if they don't pay attention to this and this and that, they might be exposed. So actions, if I understand the word broadly, those are all type of means of attitude, reactions, actions, which will help to, yeah, to prevent things to go berserk or to go south again. So yes, those are important. And sometimes it's not the big things which are important. This is really the small things. That's why I love, for example, the work of engineers, because they are very, very, very interesting to do with this. The Germans say that der Teufel steckt ins Detail, which means the devil uh, is living into the details, more or less translated. So not always the big actions who matters, but all the small ones, which are important.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. It was really interesting discussion.
Yeah, thank you.
Who is listening and watching us, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because we are planning to hit 1,000 subscribers. You can help us. If you have anything to add, welcome to the comment box. We're going to reply on all your comments. Pierre, thank you one more time. It was really interesting, and I always like to talk with you because you have an opinion on everything. And that's why every conversation is really interesting. Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome, Vladimir. Thank you.